Over the past sort of 2 years or so, Telltale has found ridiculous success with The Walking Dead. Obviously, their Image Comics adaptation of Robert Kirkman's The Walking Dead brought it to video games with their sort of unique, episodic, narrative-based structure, and it was hugely successful. I think it's easy to say it's one of the most successful games of the last couple of years.
Far and away, and yeah, particularly for a live arcade game.
Yeah, definitely. And they've tried it again. They picked up the Fables license, which is a sort of mature Vertigo book from writer Bill Willingham and artist Mark Buckingham. We went in a bit cautious. It's not something that could be as easily adapted to video games, but here we are. The Wolf Among Us features Bigby Wolf, who used to be the big bad wolf from Fairy Tale times, dragged into New York with the rest of your favorite Fairy Tale characters, and basically forced to try and survive.
Yeah, I mean, we're fairly familiar with Fables, and certainly this is fairly true to those books. These fairy tale characters have really fallen from grace. They live in New York. They're in squalor. They're basically, their days of being great, mystical, magical people is long, long gone. And Bigby Wolf is a good example. He's a guy with a really dark past. He's done some bad things. You may have heard a story about him and some pigs once upon a time. But he's trying to put his life back on track, and he's trying to do the right thing. But that's difficult in this world, and it's certainly a world where doing the right thing is something that's not necessarily going to get you any reward.
Yeah, so I mean, this is basically a murder mystery, sort of hard-boiled crime noir tale. So there's been some murders amongst the fairy tale community, and there's almost like this idea presented to you from the very start that there's no chance for happily ever after. And as Bigby Wolf, you really have to try and get to the bottom of these murders while doing your best to manage all of these little relationships between the fairy tale characters who've been, forced out of their home world, and try and just get law and order back into this secret part of New York City. And it's very difficult. The game's very bleak. It never really gives you a chance to sort of succeed or even catch a breath from its sort of just suffocating sort of darkness it pervades at every step. But which is funny, really, considering how amazing it looks, just the contrast to that tone.
Again, we sort of talked about this. It's got almost like a kind of Scorsese or Tarantino thing. It's very neon, but those bright lights just seem to darken the shadows even more. Yeah. So, it's a great looking game. It's bright and it's colourful and it's cartoony, but that just seems to accentuate the dark heart of the game.
Yeah, and you know what? Overall, The Wolf Among Us has a great heart as well. It's got great voice acting as always. It's nice to see some little characters from The Walking Dead make a sort of return as well as voice characters, but it does have some problems here and there, like the technical problems that seem to sort of strike at Walking Dead every so often really come back at this with a punch. Like, the frame rate issues are really frustrating. It lags quite a bit. Hopefully Telltale will eventually sort that out for whatever they do next, because it's getting very frustrating. But if you're looking for something new to play, if you're looking for an episodic game, you cannot go wrong with The Wolf Among Us. It is fantastic and gripping from start to finish.